Here we are. Thankful to be here in November. Um, well, welcome back to Bitcoin Generations. I'm your host, Bodie, and today I've got my friend Logan here with us. And welcome, Logan.
Hey, how's it going?
We are talking about owning Bitcoin and using Bitcoin. And you ready to talk about some of this with us?
I think so, man. I think it'll be a good talk for sure.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you about this and kind of like understanding, that there is a difference. There's a difference between owning Bitcoin and then using it out there in the wild blue yonder, right? So, anything been going on with you lately, as we're kind of like getting started here?
Man, I've just been having a good time at the Bitcoin meetup. I really love going up to Columbus to the Bitcoin meetup and having a good time up there and just seeing everybody. We just had our fall meetup, so it's kind of like fall, Christmas, kind of all together in one big schlump. So if you're in the Midwest, like just would recommend like coming out because it's a good time. So that's the best thing I can say that Bitcoin wise is kind of going on with me is our meetup.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. Meetups are a great way to meet people and find out who's in Bitcoin and the kind of great signal that's out there. Learning things that you didn't know, kind of stuff. I love that. Yeah, we would. Let's just kind of move right into what we're going to be talking about today. Then, if that's so. Kind of we've had some really interesting things happening in the news and in Bitcoin lately, but specifically kind of some examples are this the announcement by Jack Dorsey's company Block and the subsidiary that they own, Square. Do you want to kind of just kind of preview that for us? Help us understand kind of like the magnitude of what this is.
Yeah, for sure. Preface just was just saying that Cash App or Square, they're again a subsidiary, is the first place I ever bought Bitcoin. So I might be a little biased in saying some of this, but I think it's really cool. They so Square, Cash App, Block, kind of all the same company. They're owned by Jack Dorsey, and there's kind of two different segments that launched this week, which is like Bitcoin payments for merchants so they can receive Bitcoin from their Square terminals. So you've probably used Square like a million times at like buying coffee, maybe at a farmer's market. I used to plug it into the bottom of my phone, like a headphone jack, and swipe a card. But now you can use those terminals or even their app to accept Bitcoin directly from the customer. And so the question is, well, what if the customer doesn't have Bitcoin, right? And that's where Cash App comes into play, because then customers can send Bitcoin over like the Lightning rails. So Cash App will convert your cash directly to Bitcoin and send it to the merchant. So it's as easy as using, your app just like you normally were, but they're just replacing Visa and MasterCard and American Express rails with Bitcoin Lightning. So it's doing that conversion to Lightning, sending it to the merchant, and the merchant's deciding, hey, am I gonna, accept this as Bitcoin, or am I just going to keep this as cash? And it allows everybody to have the optionality they want. Some people can pay in cash, merchant can receive in Bitcoin, customer can pay in Bitcoin, merchant can receive cash.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the big thing that I think is going to stir a lot of adoption. But that's
interesting.
Going through today.
Very interesting, because this has mega implications for Visa, MasterCard, American Express. These guys are charging a ton for these card fees, right? But you don't have to pay those same kind of fees with using it this way, right? It's going to be I don't think this is a small thing. This is kind of a big deal, right?
No, I mean, for sure. Like, that's been the biggest thing, is been able to replace the banks, right? And so like everybody relies on Visa and MasterCard and American Express to get their transaction through.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about that, but it's going from you to a bank. Like your connection to a bank is important because then that's how you use the Visa network to pay another bank, which is connected to another person on the other side. So like
Yeah.
you eliminate the banks, you eliminate that whole element when you just transact directly in Bitcoin peer to peer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really cool to see people having that ability now, and I think it'll increase adoption for sure.
So let's just kind of walk through this for a second. How much will it actually cost to send some money over, like say, this Cash App that you're talking about?
I mean, there's zero fees. It's same as Lightning. It's like fractions of a penny. So you really are not going to see a fee because it's less than a penny. So
Less than a penny.
less than a penny to move funds on Lightning. Yeah, I mean, we're talking one sat
Okay.
to move $100. We're not talking like it's a lot at all.
Right. Okay. So let's say these are a lot of these merchants. And like, how many merchants are we talking here? That are
I don't know exactly. I think it's on the far side. I think I've seen a lot of duplicates on the request pool, basically, where Cash App gets these requests from merchants that are like, hey, I want to be added to the list of people that accept Bitcoin. I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 or 600 like merchants have been requested to be added to like a map, and that doesn't
okay.
include the merchants that haven't requested to be added to the map, that they just enable that on their Square app, and they're not checking the next box, which is include me on the map or whatever. But I would say like
Okay.
at least 500 or 600 to start out, and we're only like a week into this thing, so
Mm.
that's what's crazy.
So they can pay. So they can pay however they want, right?
And they can receive however they want. So the best way to say it is you pay on Cash App either in Bitcoin or in fiat, and then the merchant receives on Square cash or Bitcoin. Right, so it's both parties can decide how they want to pay and how they want to receive. The coolest part is that now they can choose. They couldn't choose before,
Okay.
so now they can.
Do they have the ability on there to slide the percentage of one or the other that they want to receive?
Talking about the merchant, right?
The merchant.
Yeah, so the merchant, whenever they receive a payment in Bitcoin, they can receive that as cash 100%, or they can receive that as Bitcoin 100%, or anywhere in between. So you can maybe, use a small portion of your income as a savings for your business, keep it in Bitcoin, and then the cash, you use it for regular flows or operations. Another way that I've seen it is like, on the receiving side. So like this is just Cash App to Cash App. Okay, this is person to person. You can send cash to somebody, but you're using Bitcoin Rails to do that. So it doesn't require a fee, and it doesn't require any like internal ledger, because it's just all running through the Lightning Network. Now, Lightning Network is ran by nodes, right? It's
Okay.
ran by people that are connected to one another that
Yeah.
allow those transactions to take place. So I think that the biggest thing to remember here, at least, is that just you owning Bitcoin. So maybe you're going to receive it as your business, but you're going to hold some. Just owning it is not using it, right? Is there kind
Right.
of a difference there?
Yeah. 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 So, we've heard a lot of people, talk about, self custody, or, you have Bitcoin, but how, do you really own your own Bitcoin? Or, so that's one part of the equation. But then, the other part is like, do you actually, are you actually using it? Can you actually use it? Do you know how to use it? Is it yours first? And then do you know how to use it?
It's almost like the difference of saying, like, yeah, I can drive a car, and you take the transit everywhere. You don't
Mm.
really know how to drive a car. Like you might know the physics of it. Like, yeah, you get in, you pull the lever, you do the thing, but you ride a transit every day of your life. You don't actually own a car to know I need to change the oil. I need to change the tires. I need to keep it clean. I need to sweep it out every once in a while. So like those type of things are the things that you learn when you start using Bitcoin versus just owning Bitcoin. And,
Right.
again, like key elements I'm trying to kind of takeaways are like, Like when you transact with Bitcoin, you are either using someone else's node or you're going to use your own. Those are the
Okay.
only two ways to use Bitcoin to transact with one another. So when, for instance, go back to what we were talking about,
Okay.
when you're, sending from Cash App to Square, you're using Lightning, you're using Bitcoin. However, it's a node ran by a company. It's a node ran by, let's say you're sending from Cash App to someone on Square. That's going to be just Block's internal node that's running that. It's over the Lightning Network, but it still is going to
Theirs.
be theirs. It's not going to be yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is an important distinction to make as we move into this discussion about like what does using Bitcoin mean. The nodes are kind of like difficult sometimes for people to understand, like what the definition of that term is. So a node, can you define a node for me first? And then let's just make the distinction, the importance of like maybe using your own node versus borrowing somebody else's infrastructure.
First of all, I think everybody starts out by using Bitcoin by using someone else's node. And what I mean by that is someone else's app, someone else's computer, someone else's cloud, someone else's wallet.
Mhm.
All of those things could maybe be considered what you're saying, like someone else's. But I think we all start out in that area. The goal is to start stepping away from that slowly.
Okay.
And so you don't want to leap, you don't want to take this big jump. And that's how we start making mistakes and not learning our lessons. We can do slow steps to get to the right place. And so
Baby steps.
baby steps.
Okay.
And so the best thing is if you're on an exchange already, if you've bought Bitcoin on Cash App or Square, like Cash App or, Coinbase or River or something like that, to move to something that you control the keys to, because you've heard it before, like not your keys, not your coins. So it's important that you move to something that's controlled by you. Now, that could be something like Zeus. Zeus has an embedded wallet within it that works well and is the keys are controlled by you. However, you don't own the full infrastructure, meaning that there is some downloading that's still happening from an external server.
Yep.
So we've heard the term not your keys, not your coins. Go one step further on that and say not your rack, not your stack. Right?
Okay. So like, if it's not your hardware, okay, which is quite a big step mentally for everybody to kind of get to. But if it's not your hardware, then it's really, you're not using your own node.
That's right. I mean, it'd be the same way with a hardware wallet. If we had to connect to a server to use your hardware wallet, it's kind of defeating the purpose. Not your keys, not your coins says, I have my keys, these are my coins, I can transact. That's all it says. And so that simple statement has to continue to the computer that we're using, because the statement issues in another question, which is, I have my keys, I have my coins, I can transact. The question it ushers in is what computer? Transact with what computer? Right? Because not your rack, not your stack says, if you're not using your own computer to do this, if you're not using your own infrastructure, your own app, your own website, even, then you're using someone else's. So,
which for the beginner,
yes,
there's no shame in that.
None. None.
No
Everyone starts. None. Everyone starts there.
We all start at the beginning, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. Breathe. Breathe, everyone. Breathe. Right? Now, it's okay.
Now, I mean, you take that one step further, because what do computers run? They run code, right? So what code do I run? And is the code owned and organized by me? And so what I mean by that is, if you know anything about compiling code, it's to go one step further,
Whoa.
All right.
You're scaring me. You are scaring me.
I guess I'm scaring you, but the point is to understand what you're using. So when you're using Bitcoin, you're using code. And so if you think you're just using, something to get rich quick, you're not. You're using code. So I'm just trying to kind of bring it, I guess, like, I have Bitcoin, I can use it. Level down into that says, with what computer are you going to use it with? And then with what code are you going to transact with? So then you come down to that base layer and you're not able to really go any further, right? Once you own the code, then you own the node.
I see. I
Yes,
see. Okay. All right. This is making some sense. Although you're a little over my head,
I
but
understand.
it's okay. I can still breathe.
All
Okay.
right.
But let's just
Well,
let's
and
just
it's just to answer that. It's that simple question you had, which is what does it mean to use Bitcoin, right?
yeah.
To use
I asked the
Bitcoin
question.
means what to use Bitcoin means to not just be able to transact it, it means to have the ability to do that permissionlessly. It means to not have to ask anyone permission in order to send, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really the goal. That's the intention behind Bitcoin. That's the purpose it solves. I think so. Your question really brings into a lot of light and goes back to Cash App, which is like, oh, I'm just getting started. Am learning about Bitcoin for the first time. Well, what even is it? Well, this is how it's used. This is like tangibly what it is.
Okay. For the purpose of just like kind of zooming out,
Yeah.
okay. We're going to like I'm going to take this a little different direction, uh, but not off the rails. Just go with me for a second. Bear with me. Um, so in order to get to Cash App and stuff, we already have to have Bitcoin. But let's rewind a little bit further back. Let's just say that we bought some Bitcoin on an exchange, and then we found a way to get it to our wallet. Okay. One of the key steps in there that I don't want to miss, I don't want anybody to miss this, is the UTXO. Now, I know that's not the topic of our conversation today, but the UTXO is critical. If you don't have a UTXO, do you have Bitcoin?
Is that a question or a statement? Because
I
it sounds like a statement.
I want to. It's a question for you because I'm teeing this up for you because
Okay.
I would posit that if you don't have a UTXO, which is a unspent transaction output, don't get lost in the details, but if you don't have a UTXO, then you don't really have Bitcoin.
You definitely don't. I would say that for sure.
Okay, so
And that's a hard pill to swallow for some people. I mean, it really is. Like if you're familiar with like trusting a 401k provider like a Charles Schwab or something, you're so familiar with just logging into your account and saying, I have this allotted amount.
okay,
That's
yeah,
not the case with Bitcoin. It solves features of that are problematic.
yeah, it's more response. You have to take more responsibility. You have to like make sure that your security, that your ability to write your seed phrase down, and all those kind of security measures, right? Privacy, security. These things are going to become immensely important as people adopt kind of really their own money, the money that's uncensorable, sound money that is unstoppable, that the government doesn't have control over. Now, that might be controversial, but it just is because we have Bitcoin and Bitcoin is not going away. So, this is an encouragement. This is a kind of like a exhortation to people to understand that you want to be responsible. You want to be able to work with this. It's not like paper fiat money. It's not like you can just go and get whatever you want. It's like it's backed by encryption. And if you don't have the keys to unlock the encryption so that you can use it, do you have it? And the question is no. The question is there, and I think the answer is no, you don't have it.
So don't freak people out. If you're scared right now, saying, wait, I have it, but I don't have it. What do you mean? Hold on. I'm going to do what Bodie does. I know I'm going to do what you do. Hold on, people. Hold on. No, he's not saying you don't have it. He's not saying you don't have it. What he's trying to say is step up your security, step up your knowledge, step up your levels so that you know, oh, this Cash App thing's awesome. I just got involved with this. I've got maybe $100 now. Once you get to the point where like you've got more than a bill's worth of Bitcoin, it might be time to start thinking about moving it into your own custody. I mean, if that disappeared for me and I couldn't pay one of my bills, that would suck. Like, so it's important to just start leveling up and thinking like, okay, what's the first step for me? It's probably like Bodie said, getting a hardware wallet, getting a UTXO, right? Those are some things that are really important, like for you to be able to know that you can do that. What we're talking about here, in all these layers of Bitcoin being like, not your rack, not your stack, not your keys, not your coin, not your code, not your node. Those are just levels of like knowledge that you can start to sink into so that you feel more secure about the thing that you've already invested in. You put your time into it, you put your money into it. So if you're going to do that, you may as well take the time and take the energy to learn about it, because if it's just stuck on some website again, you're going to log in one day and it's going to be gone.
That's not
So
the
there
way to
ain't
go.
nothing. That's not Bitcoin. That's not what it is. That's not what it solves.
No. And it needs to be stewarded better than that, right?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people understand stewardship, or they should, right? But and as I'm bringing these points up, and I didn't, definitely not trying to scare anybody, but I think, if you speak truth, sometimes the truth is like, if it's authentic and you're being real, sometimes the truth is not easy to hear, but it doesn't change that it's the truth.
like for instance, like, am I going to go trust like Cash App? Am I going to go trust Coinbase? Heck, am I going to go trust River? Or am I going to just spend $500 on my own computer for my own system, for my own storage, for my own security, and grow this thing the way I want to see it grow, and have the ability to transact without anyone saying otherwise?
Okay.
That right there is like the level that you can start to move into, and it not only increases your conviction, it allows you to have a foot in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you put your money where your mouth is. You bought Bitcoin, you have it on an exchange,
Yeah.
you maybe even took it off, put it on a hardware wallet, but you're not contributing, right? And that collaboration, that contribution that takes place is what allows Bitcoin to flourish. It's what allows people access to Bitcoin. Because Bodhi, you just talked about a UTXO, and there's something true about a UTXO. Did you know that there can't be 8 billion of those? There can't. It's impossible. It won't fit in the blockchain. So by de facto, not everyone will own Bitcoin. If we say that a UTXO is owning Bitcoin, and that's what it is, then not everyone will be able to do that. So how does everyone own Bitcoin? How does it become a global currency? How does it become a store of value? How does it become a medium of exchange? By people helping people, right? By people setting up themselves to be like, hey, I'm going to go put my money where my mouth is in this vulnerable state so that you can have access to something that I built, so that hopefully you build it too, by the way. Hopefully you have access to this too one day, because you've gotten access to it through me instead of going through this person or going through that person or going through this sketchy website, or gambling it. You can just save.
Yeah.
And then whenever you're ready, step away from me, step away from the custodian, step away from the individual, step into your own custody, and then step into your own computer, right? You can start to level up into those things, and not pay for a service and not have to trust a certain thing, but set up the process you want, like set up the computer you want. And that can happen. Those are not hard things.
Yeah. So you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah, you can just do stuff.
But you don't have to start there. You can actually lean on, other people kind of in the beginning, learn as you can, as you go. And for all you homeschoolers out there, also teach your kids as you go, right? Train them up in this. Yeah. You might want to have some.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. We're kind of moving through our time here, but it's just my head's just kind of going, with all this different kind of stuff. Like like you can run a node. It's not that complicated. If you have somebody that's showing you and they're teaching you, and you learn, but you don't have to think about like, oh, they're mentioning node, I need to run a node. No, you don't start there. It's like, when you start, let's say you're learning how to ice skate, you don't start, you don't start you're not doing aerial acrobats, with these jumps or something with figure skating, or, you're not playing in the NHL in the very first week. You have to like learn how to skate, you get going. And that's the same way it is here, where you start at the beginning, and it's okay to start at the beginning, learn the basics first, learn what it is, learn why it's sound money. You do your own research. You don't trust, but you verify all the things that you hear and all the things that you think you are true. You verify those things, and you can look at the blockchain. You can look at all the transactions. You can go to mempool.space. You can see everything is open source. And then once you get comfortable with that, then you're kind of like moving to your next level. And eventually you get to this point where you realize you can just do stuff. You can do these things. Like look at me. I'm like, in my 60s, right? And I'm doing stuff that I never would have thought I would have been doing. 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I never would have thought I'd been doing this. But I have enough curiosity and enough fearlessness to be just like, okay, we're going to just do stuff because I can learn stuff. I know I'm teachable. And so, yeah, I mean, I think people don't give themselves enough credit for being able to do stuff, because they just can, like you could go out to your garage and you could get a screwdriver and you could make something, you could do something, right? And we've gotten used to sitting in our houses and just kind of turning on these things and, we watch and we sit and we don't do anything. So we got to engage the brain. Anyway, so we're moving on.
That's good stuff.
So for the new person, what's the answer? I mean, I think the answer for them is really kind of like just start at the beginning. Start where you are right now. Just get started. And if you're comfortable with this part, then okay, great. If you're comfortable with that, that part well enough, okay, good. And then you can add a little more, stretch yourself because we're going to need to. We need to have, you hear in the news all kinds of things and some of it might be, comforting and a lot of it might be scary or whatever, just, you got to keep going. You got to just do what you got to do and add a little bit.
That's good.
I don't know. What's your take?
Right now, so my take's changed a little bit because Cash App changed kind of like how I maybe help people get into Bitcoin.
Okay.
Because they can pay with cash, they don't have to buy Bitcoin. So what I recommend to someone is go to the Cash App and find a location that you want to go to that accepts Bitcoin. Don't buy Bitcoin yet. If you've never bought it, just don't even buy it. Just go to that location and use your Cash App to spend your cash with them. And then find somebody to talk to about Bitcoin. Just be like, hey, I just think I just paid in Bitcoin. Or like I heard that they accept Bitcoin. Can you tell me more about it? How can I, learn or whatever? That's a great way for you to kind of jump in and get started with the community. Because if a business is willing to accept it and go on a map and everything like that, like they're definitely willing to help like promote it and help you with it, with your journey too. So I think what I would say to anyone like in their journey.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. So, so we have anything else you want to cover today? I mean, we're kind of, I think we're I really liked the, kind of recapping a little bit. I kind of like the idea of, do you want to trust this existing infrastructure, this company with your Bitcoin? Okay. And I put that in quotes, but it's kind of like, is it yours really until it's in self-custody? Do you want to trust them or do you want to set this up? And I think we if we have some reservation about setting up our own stuff and kind of like becoming more secure and more private, maybe we're a little soft or something, because I don't really think we want to trust, corporate America to do something and just like put all this trust in them when we understand what the problem is. If you really truly do understand that there is a problem and you understand what it is, you understand why we need sound money, then you probably understand that you better figure out a way to steward that well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Yeah, just like we've talked about, it's really important to, step up in your security model so that as as your wealth accrues in value, or accrues in what it can buy you over time, that you know that you're uh, being really safe with the savings and the time you've put into an asset like Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
it's really important to just learn the steps along the way and take it like one day at a time, and don't get too far ahead of yourself, but don't get mad at yourself either whenever you kind of don't know what to do next. But it's
Yeah.
really cool that you guys, if you did listen to this far, like you're onto something, because it's you're not too far off than you think.
Yeah. Well, we've got some other going to be doing some interesting content coming up. We've got a couple things scheduled, but one we'd like to talk more about. At least I would if you're up for it. I'd like to talk more about you know our next kind of thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking more about the Bitcoin adoption and how that's going and how people are doing it. Um, of course, we'd like to people to follow, like and subscribe our channel here. But Bitcoin Generations is here for generations of future Bitcoiners, and we teach new Bitcoiners and baby boomers about Bitcoin. But the excitement is about Bitcoin is being adopted. It's coming, and there's more and more examples of businesses. And like we mentioned, I think I don't know if we mentioned it, but the Square part of this conversation, when we mentioned at the beginning, there was something like 4 million merchants just in the US.
Yeah, that have the ability to turn this on. Yeah, that's about 4 million merchants that are under Cash App to be able to start
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So, uh, that's kind of what we're going with this, is that there's going to be sort of, a lot of people coming this direction, with interested in using Bitcoin. Um, so, uh, Logan, give us an idea of where people can follow you and
Oh
keep.
yeah. You can find me at btcforplebs.com. That's BTCforplebs.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. And that's great. So you kind of have some stuff over there to teach them some things about Bitcoin.
I got all kinds of links over there. You can just spend a whole day having fun.
Oh, great. Wow. All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you back here on Bitcoin Generations when we have our next episode. And all right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, Bodie.